All right, welcome to our very first episode of Virtual GM. I'm Cody Adent. This is Spencer Halford. I think what I want to do today is talk about why we're doing this, and then how we got here.
Yep.
But the real reason why we're doing this video today, so Mark, what's today? Today's June 23rd. It's after 5 o'clock for those of you wondering. And the reason that's important in 2022 is because we'll probably be speakers at the Grow with Video conference next year.
That's right.
And they'll play this video to show how far we've come. This will be like one of those videos where we make fun of ourselves because we didn't know what we were doing. But what we learned at the conference is that the most important thing you do is that you start. So we've wanted to do this forever.
For a long time, yeah. Quick plug to Think Media as well. In fact, Cody and I are wearing their shirts today. And I mean, it was a conference that got put on in Las Vegas. Gary Vaynerchuk spoke there. Patrick Bet-David.
It was awesome.
I mean, it was the most amazing conference I've been to in a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, so much of it was just like creating content. And so we thought we have years of hospitality experience combined. Our president and founder, Breck, started and built the Cliffrose Lodge with his father, which is the #1 curio in the United States of America. So not doing something like this, I actually think would be a disservice to hotel owners, just because there's so much out there for us to talk about.
And there's so many people like us that where we didn't know what we were doing 4 or 5 years ago, and an outlet like this would have been really beneficial to us to teach us, especially me, like Spencer and I. We don't have a hospitality background, so I didn't start in hospitality until I think it's 5 years now. And so had I had a platform to go to, and maybe it existed, but I couldn't find it. So.
Yeah, I mean, I've looked and looked, and I just can't find a roadmap for any hotelier or vacation rental owner to say this is everything you should do. And so we're really excited to be able to offer that as part of Virtual GM. And one big reason we call it Virtual GM is because we want to be your virtual GM, but then the other part of it too is that we can be your guide and help you understand how you can run your hotel and how you can actually staff it and market it and get bookings and make enough money to support yourself and have a good business.
Yeah, and I think we created this really unique process, and it's a role that we have and a service that we offer at Vibrant that's called Virtual GM, and we'll probably do a whole episode on what that is and how that can work for you.
Right.
But it just felt like a fitting name for the podcast, and it's really cool to start and to do something, because I know that there's so much that we don't know yet, but you can't learn until you try.
Yeah,
and that's kind of our motto even at Vibrant, and with the things that we do, is that everything that we've done we never did until we did it.
Yeah, right.
You know, like we never converted to a curio until we did it. We never went through the branding process for a 4-star property until we did it.
Yep.
We never managed a curio until we did it. There's, you can't do something until it's been done, and so this is kind of cool because it's also going to have our journey. So you're going to get to see our evolution, how we move through this program. But I think what would be appropriate now is to kind of go back in time and talk about how Vibrant was created, since this is our first podcast. And Spencer's only been with us for how long?
I want to say 5 months.
Yeah, that sounds about
4
right.
months, 5 months. I've directly employed and working with Vibrant a short time. Sure.
So what we'll do is we'll kind of tell our origin story.
Yep, that sounds good.
And then we'll get into how Spencer started working with us and how we got to where we are today. So we originally were created, really the conception of it was with Breck Dockstader. So we kind of talked about him. His family started the Cliffrose Lodge and Gardens. I highly recommend you go check it out. As Spencer mentioned,
it's beautiful. Yeah, you can check that one out. It's cliffroselodge.com, right?
Yep, and
it's stunning.
As Spencer said, the #1 curio in the United States right now. Truly a magical space. So Breck's dad Dale was like a visionary.
And Dale's someone that carries like a lot of lore in our office.
Absolutely.
Like when we speak of Dale, it's almost like with a reverence and a respect, I never met Dale, unfortunately, but I mean, he's almost like a Vibrant hero,
Yeah, and he was Vibrant. So he would mow the lawn. They have 7 acres of botanical gardens on the property there, and he would mow it in his Speedo. And he always liked to say he was the only guy who could get a loan in pink shorts and a Patagonia shirt and flip-flops. Like, he was a tried and true hippie, but a real brilliant visionary. And it's like he even did things like he bought the domain for ZionNationalPark.com before everyone even knew what a domain was, right? And that's kind of
basically the cusp of the internet, right? I mean, he
probably
knew that would be a big thing and a good investment.
I bet he bought it in the mail or something, like a cash.
I wonder what that was like back in the early 80s or 90s, right when the internet rolls out. How do you buy a domain?
Probably in a magazine.
That's what it had to be.
Yeah, I don't know how he did it, but he did. He found it out, and he bought a bunch of really powerful domains, and so he started the Cliffrose, and it was in their that was 1989. It was in their family for a long time. Breck, I want to say he started going to the Cliffrose as like an assistant GM in maybe 2010, I think sounds about right. And then ended up becoming the general manager and really ushered them to where they were. Like if you look at the revenue charts, it's pretty amazing to see what he accomplished. But he ultimately got to a point where there wasn't much more that you could do to increase the property, because where we're located in Springdale, Utah, right outside of Zion, the town's really hard to work with.
Yeah.
They're not huge proponents of commerce, and certainly it's a town of 500 residents. And so they want to keep that real close to the vest, and so it makes it challenging to grow. And so we couldn't add more rooms. All we could really do was add more revenue. And we had AAA out a bunch of times to reevaluate the property, but we could never get them to give us that 4-star. And we always felt like we weren't quite 4-star, but we were really close. And so we knew that the best thing that we could do is to join a flag, but keep our heritage and who we are and what made us special at the Cliffrose. And so we wanted to join the soft brands, a Curio or an Autograph or a Tapestry. And that's where the market's going. I mean, I don't think I'm certainly not jazzed to go stay at a Hampton Inn.
No, I just stayed at a Hampton 2 nights.
You did.
I pulled into the Hampton in West Jordan and was thoroughly underwhelmed. It wasn't a bad property. In fact, the room was really nice, but I had just driven from, I can't remember the name of the town. It was near Richfield, but I was at the Big Rock Candy Mountain Resort. And I can tell you which of the two I would have rather stayed at.
Yeah, right.
And the Big Rock Candy Mountain Resort is never going to become a Curio.
Yeah.
But I can tell you I'd rather stay there 10 days out of 10 days.
Yeah, people want unique experiences, and those flags are always going to have their space in the market. And they're an important piece of our tourism ecosystem. But that's just not what gets us excited.
Yep.
And so we wanted to be in that space, and we went through the PIP with Marriott, and we went through the PIP with Hilton. Originally, Breck was really leaning the Marriott way.
We should even define what a PIP is, too, because there's probably owners that are listening to this who are like, what the hell is a PIP?
Right. So a PIP is a property improvement plan, and it's honestly, I suggest it for anyone who's in that independent space and is curious. And the reason I say that is they're not overly expensive, and it gives you an idea of where you should be investing your money, because at the end of the day, Hilton and Marriott know what needs to be done at a property. Right. And so when they come through and say, you need to redo your showers, and you need to do this, you need to fix your lobby, even if you're not going to join them or you're not going to go that route, it at least points you in the right direction and what investments you should be making with your property.
Well, I know you can speak to this a lot better than I can, but a lot of properties usually have like a sinking fund or some type of investment, delayed investment towards the end of the year, where they're going to make property renovations, manage their upkeep, right? So I think you would agree a PIP is a really good outline and a bit of a map that says, here's some things that you may not have even known were problems, but your guests are going to talk about or notice. And it's a really quick way to just fix those. And we have one property that has a $2 million budget just for renovations. And they should certainly be ordering a PIP.
And that's what I was going to say. If you're going to spend over $1 million improving or renovating your property, I wouldn't do it without that knowledge. I think that's really important. So we went through the process. They couldn't have been more polar opposite, honestly. Our Marriott PIP was about 28 pages long. Our Hilton PIP was 9 pages long. And so it was like, well, obviously.
I mean, it's drastically different.
That's going to be a lot less work and a lot less money. We're going to go that route. And this was, I want to get the years right, I think that was probably in December of 2017. And so we wanted to ensure that we got everything done in the off season. That was our goal. So Breck is also a visionary similar to Dale. So he thought we would be do this huge renovation and be ready by the season in 2018, which obviously didn't happen. In fact, I remember there was a clause if we didn't convert by December of 2019, we got a penalty.
Oh, really?
And we laughed about how that would never happen.
Those never happen anyways. New construction's always backed up.
And I think we officially became a Hilton December 12th of 2019. So
I remember watching the video on Instagram.
Yeah, we almost didn't make it.
From my office, I remember you guys, I think you popped a bottle of champagne.
That's right. That's the one.
I remember watching that from my office and being like, man, that's where I want to be, is up at the Hilton party. That seems amazing.
So we went through the process with Hilton. We timed it absolutely wrong because construction costs just got so expensive during that time. Yeah. And one thing that we didn't know is that you had to have a management company to operate in that space.
Right.
So because we'd always been independent and we didn't have any other, obviously we had no other clients, we didn't exist yet.
Yeah.
We didn't even realize we had to have a management company. And so that's what created Vibrant. And what was unique about that is that most people in the industry were like, oh, there's no way they're going to approve you.
But before that happened, did you shop for a property management company?
Nope, we didn't. Because had Breck had to give up management, he wouldn't have even wanted to do it.
Yeah, right.
So that was like a prerequisite. He was like, we have to get this.
Were you approached by property management companies? Like, did anyone have their ear to the ground that's like, oh, there's a new Curio popping up in the best place in the world?
That's really interesting you say that, because you would imagine that companies who know they're coming, which if you're in the industry, you know, that they would pursue that. But yeah, no one did.
I find that interesting because we like keep wind of tapestries that are coming out, autograph collections, curios, whatever. I mean, we're a small group.
I never thought about that, but you're totally right.
It's actually really interesting that
it is
never
surprising.
happened. Yeah.
So we put together Vibrant, we built our team, and we put together a presentation for Hilton, and really magically we were approved, which is quite amazing. And so we're going through this process, and we had so many ups and downs in the we could do a whole episode on that.
Certainly.
There's a bunch of really good stories, and I don't want to.
So we have to bring Breck in on one of these episodes because I mean, there were details about the Cliffrose Lodge where his Christmas tree is one of the trees that's growing right behind the lodge.
Yeah,
I mean, his family lived below it. I mean, so much of that.
We went to ILTM, which is International Luxury Travel Market in Singapore in 2019. So obviously pre-COVID, we wanted to really get into the luxury Asian markets, and so we thought, like, let's make the investment, and that obviously came at a huge expense for a company our size, and so we represented ourselves with. That was weird.
So we know it was mine or yours.
We represented ourselves, Cliffrose Lodge. We represented another client of ours, Cougar Ridge, Sorrel River Ranch, and ZMR. Both at the time, Sorrel and ZMR were not clients of ours, but they had opted to like go in on this co-op, so we could go out there and represent them. Which I think I know we had some celebrities come out to those properties, which I believe is a direct correlation to that. But long story short, what was unique about that is that we went out to this market and we were able to get in front of all of these people. And the story I would tell is that, Breck actually, there's Christmas trees from when he was a kid scattered throughout the property, and they're like, oh, I don't believe you, like, that's not true. So after ILTM was over, I went back to the Cliffrose and I filmed videos for them all underneath the tree that was his Christmas tree as a kid, so I could show them.
But it's just such a strange, like, I shouldn't say strange, but it's so unique. I mean,
that's the word,
you never hear that. And I know the one for sure right behind the main lodge, but isn't there other like Christmas?
There's a few sprinkled throughout.
I was gonna say
the one I always show people is the one behind the lobby right by the pool.
Yeah, so that's the one that I'm thinking of, and that one can't be a Christmas tree anymore.
It's amazing.
That thing is gigantic.
And we so Dale, Breck's dad, passed away in 2012, and when we converted to the Curio, we wanted to really make sure we took care of all of our guests, because we'd had guests who've been coming to the Cliffrose for 30 years, and obviously the price for our rooms now are completely different than what they were then.
Sure,
Rooms are going for $4,000 a night now, when the most we ever got was like maybe $700 pre-conversion, and so we didn't want to like turn away this incredibly amazing audience that we had. And so we put together a list of like all of the clients and customers who have been coming to Cliffrose for years and years and years, and we gave them like a guaranteed friends and family rate. And when we held a party,
didn't it have a unique name? What was
I can't remember what it was.
I feel like there was a special name of those.
Like the forever guests or something.
Something like that, yeah.
And we got them all custom ordered keychains, and we gave them to them, and we brought them out, and we showed them what we're going to be doing, and let them stay in the new rooms. And we actually planted another tree and put Dale's ashes in that too. So Dale's ashes are also right there on the property, which is really cool.
We have to pause that too, because the experience you just talked about is exactly why we created Virtual GM, which is when a property is growing or when they're trying to create experiences, when they're honored with like some type of continual loyalty with a keychain or something that lets them know that they're appreciated by the property. That alone is setting them aside from like because there's a La Quinta down the street, right?
Yep, yeah, we got a couple box hotels there in Springdale.
Yeah, I mean there's a few box hotels. What's that one that's right next to Watchman Villas?
Hampton Inn.
Yeah, so there's a Hampton right there as well, but a Hampton's never going to do that.
That's not typically in their brand to do that, and that's really why we like to be in the space that we're in, is we like the creativity.
There's no box. I mean, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But then you get the reassurance and the security of being a part of a major brand. So like as we went through COVID, it was really, I think we're really fortunate and not, right? Because if you're following the timeline of the story, we converted in December of 2019.
Yep.
Well, our season in Zion in the national parks in Utah, it basically kicks off in March, depending on when Easter is, middle of March, beginning
December
of April.
2019. Shit's hit the fan in China.
And
it's getting bad.
And so like Breck likes to say, like, we had built this beautiful like Boeing 737 and we were going down the freeway and like we were like the nose had just lifted the ground, and then March 13th 2020 came and we just slammed the nose down back onto the runway and everything stopped. And so we had all these cancellations and we had to let go of all of the staff, and it was a whole ordeal, and it was like, man, we did all of this work and we may never even come to fruition. And there's so many more Cliffrose stories. There's a bunch of really good ones I want to tell, but we'll do a special episode on that. But so that's how we got created. That's what started Vibrant. Then we got and originally we weren't even going to have other clients. Like, we were just going to take care of the Cliffrose.
Just the Cliffrose. Well, that's pretty common for property management companies. Hotel management companies, at least, is they manage only 2 or 3 properties. Right?
Yeah,
sometimes only
and usually
one.
the ones that they have ownership in. Oftentimes
right.
the ownership replicates the management company. But we had learned so much going through this process, and we were like, man, we have so much to offer to people who are, even if you're not converting to a Curio, but you're just in the independent space. All the principles we learned apply regardless of where you're at, how big or how small, and we wanted to share those with people. So the very first client that we got, Vibrant became official in April of 2018, I think, and I think in June we signed Zion Mountain Ranch. That was a really good learning experience for us. That's another amazing property on the east side of Zion. It's like 8,000 acres. They've got about 72 luxury cabins.
It's beautiful. Is that on ZMR.com? Is that?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that's a cool domain too.
Yeah, it is. And they've got a buffalo reserve there on the property. I mean, really amazing. And that was really above our pay grade. Like, and it was a good learning experience for us. And the owner, Kevin McLaws, is great to work with. And it was good for us to have him be our first client because he's a pretty understanding guy, and he like allowed our growing pains to happen. And we did a lot of things I'm really proud of, and we did some really great stuff. But we did learn, like, okay, there are things that we can be better at. There's things that we need to shift, and so that partnership ran for almost a year, and it was a really good one. But a lot of learning came from that. Yeah, sure. And then our next property was Cougar Ridge, which I believe will become the best resort in Utah when it's all said and done. That's in a little town called Torrey, right outside of Capitol Reef. And I'll never forget, because Breck, who is the vice president of UTIA, which is Utah's Tourism Industry Association, he was at a retreat at Cougar Ridge, and he calls me and he says, "Dude, you're never gonna believe this. I just got our new client." And I was like, "Oh, sure you did." Like, okay. He's like, "No, I'm serious."
But that's like classic Breck energy, you know?
"I'm driving around the ranch with this dude right now in his truck. His name's Gary. He's amazing. And like, this place is incredible. I'm telling you, it's going to be our next client." I think that was November. And then we were there in December signing him. Oh, wow. And that was the first time. So what we had learned going through the process with Hilton, you have to define your brand and do all of these things. And so that was our first client that we took them through our branding process. We built their website. We designed all of their collateral, created all of their fonts and typographies, and it was amazing to see. And maybe we can actually put the chart in that shows the revenue growth to see where it was when we started versus where it went. I mean, the growth out there has just been phenomenal.
Anyone listening to the audio version, you can check this out. We'll put it in our email for you.
It is truly magical, especially considering all that growth came without any additional units or property improvements. It was really all the reflection of our digital presence because the property was already just truly magical. I mean, we didn't do anything.
That one's worth speaking to just for 5 minutes too, because their year-over-year revenue, when I say we, I act as if we've been here, but I built the website for it. When Vibrant inherited Cougar Ridge as a project, correct me if I'm wrong, but their annual revenue was sub 100K.
Yeah, so when we started with them, it was December of 2018. Mm-hmm. In 2018, 2017, they were around like $50,000 a year in annual revenue, and they're small. It's a small property,
but it's a luxurious property. You can check it out, cougarridge.com. It's beautiful,
and I highly suggest it. I mean, the craftsmanship and the quality of their property is unlike anything you'll ever find. I mean, the walls in the main lodge are 18 inches thick. It's hand-chiseled sandstone. It's 4 stories. It's 24,000 square feet. The first floor, so your basement's got a huge garage, a woodworking shop, a chef's kitchen, a wine cellar, a bowling alley,
golf simulator,
movie theater. Then you go up a flight upstairs or through the elevator, and you've got 4 suites there, 2 of which have private hot tub rooms. There's a big sprawling deck that runs the whole outer side of it. It has a gym, another kitchen, a living room, and then
there's a bar on that same floor.
Yeah, really beautiful bar. Yeah. Then if you go up another flight of stairs, you'd get to like the game room loft area, which has a pool table, card table, TVs, and then there's an area for like kids with bunk beds, and then there is like a staff room or a nanny room on that floor as well. And then if you go up to the 4th floor, there's a cupola that has like 360-degree views.
It is the best
Capitol
view.
Reef. Yeah,
I think that cupola might be the best view in Utah. I mean,
it's pretty hard to beat.
It is difficult. I mean, it's gorgeous.
If the world came to an end, that's for sure where I'm going. I got I can see all my surroundings. I got 18-inch thick walls. I got lots of food.
It's secluded. There's plenty of food.
Yeah,
and when you get bored, you can jump on the horse and go for a ride.
We've got there's a ranch, there's a winery, there's a garden, there's cattle, there's everything you could ever need, like to self-sustain.
Yeah. To see what we're talking about, go to cougarridge.com. And then click on the lodge. It's right on the homepage. It's beautiful.
It's my kids' favorite place to go because they love walking the ranch and seeing the animals and seeing Patty Cake and Bronco and Thor. Thor's the big longhorn bull there that will actually let you pet it. It's pretty incredible.
Temperature's perfect in the summer too.
It's great. I mean,
they actually host like a really cool workout competition there right in the middle of the summer.
And they've got Fort Desolation coming up. Huge country concerts. If you're interested in that, get on their Instagram. All the information's there. It's going to be amazing. It's really the second year that they're doing it. Really cool. So that was our next client, and then we just kept growing from there and growing, and now we just barely redid our door. I think we've got like 16 clients up on the door.
That was a jump, wasn't it? Cause, I mean, redoing that door, it's been like, wait, pause, we got another client going on.
It's been pretty wild, and they're all in that space. All like our largest property is the Perry Lodge, which is in Kanab. All of our properties, really cool stories, a bunch of history. Perry Lodge has been around for, I want to say, close to 100 years.
Yeah. The St. George News just did an article on it. Did you see that?
No, I got to look at that.
It was amazing. Yeah, it was really cool. I think it said something like that, close to 100 years.
And that's where all the celebrities used to stay. John Wayne paid for the pool at the Perry Lodge because he wanted a pool when he came there. They used to call it Utah's Hollywood.
Yeah, JFK stayed there.
Oh, yeah, Ronald Reagan, all the hitters. Yeah. I mean, the Rat Pack. If you want to like go back in time and have a nostalgic experience and like connect with that times like people, that's the place to go.
Any film buff, regardless of where you're from, should certainly just at least take a stop into the lobby.
Absolutely.
And then find your favorite character because they actually have placards above the rooms that say JFK stayed here, John Wayne. Or,
you can stay in the room John Wayne stayed in.
Yeah,
that's pretty
it's
cool.
really neat. Yeah.
So that's kind of where we're at now, through that evolution and truly how we got to work with Spencer is we had gotten to a place where we had grown pretty healthy growth, but it was never it was all organic. Mm-hmm. We were never actively pursuing growth.
Yeah, right.
It would just we would get referrals and they'd say you should work with this property, you should talk to these guys, and that's really kind of how we grew. And then we got to a point where we started doing what's called EOS. It stands for Entrepreneurial Operating System. If you're a small business, I highly recommend checking out their books. Gino Wickman's awesome. Traction, Get a Grip, Rocket Fuel, all really, really great books. And it kind of outlines for you what the process is. And then through that process, we just been going. We're just a small company, so we just like started. Yeah. We never said what we're trying to accomplish or who we are, what we're about, or this we're going to be in 1 year, this we're going to be in 3 years. We're kind of just like, we're going to survive. We'll just be here tomorrow. And then if we make it, we'll be here the next day.
We're building the cars we drive.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's 100%.
But it's a sustainable drive, you know? Right. I mean, it's not like it's not a trouble. It's very entrepreneurial, you know? Like an issue comes up, okay, we're fixing it and solving it, and then we're documenting how we did it so the next time it comes up, we know what to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so now, we got to this place where we are going to pursue growth and we had this seat on our team. We built the seats first, add the people later, and the seat was sales and marketing, and I was just sitting in it because someone had to be there, but I don't have the skills necessarily or the time to really make that position what it can be. And Spencer had reached out. We'd been working together for how long on websites?
The very first project that I built for you was Cliffrose. So it had been a while.
Yeah, so it had been quite a bit.
Yeah, so I would say probably the end, my guess would be probably August of 2019.
Okay,
would be when we started that relationship.
And you came in, so it'd be 3 years. Wow,
Yeah,
that's crazy. How time fast goes.
It doesn't feel like 3 years.
No,
though,
it doesn't.
Yeah.
I would if I would have just said like a year.
Weird.
So Spencer had reached out and said he was interested in working with us, and so I'll kind of pass the buck to you, and you can kind of talk about what you've experienced since you've been here. You're new to tourism and hospitality,
sure.
so it's all new for you, and
Right.
then kind of what you've helped us accomplish in the time you've been here.
Yeah, I mean, it's been just a remarkable journey, to say the least. My background is certainly in marketing. In fact, when I was in high school, have you ever heard of an organization called DECA?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was in DECA. I was the DECA chapter president, had an awesome marketing teacher, and just really fell in love with marketing and trying to figure out how can we get people to engage with our brand. And ended up starting a marketing agency in Southern Utah, which was eventually bought, and I became the vice president of sales at the new organization. And that's how we connected and how I became part of Vibrant Management. And then through a series of networking, just ended up building Cliffrose and Cougar Ridge and Chuck Wagon Site and Sointula, Dwellings. I mean, it just, the list goes on. And eventually I was just looking for a change and was just hoping for a more active and kind of a more free lifestyle, and reached out to Cody and thought it would be a good fit. And well, I think I called you on a Thursday and took the job on a Saturday.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, it was a really quick turnaround, which is just true to Spencer nature, but
and ours.
Yeah, I mean, it just was an instant fit. And
well, and funny backstory. Obviously, Spencer's talented, so you have to pay for talent. And he told me like, "Oh, I'm gonna come work for you," and I tell Breck, and I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, Spencer wants to work for us. Like, I didn't even see that coming, but this would be great. This is what we need." He's like, "Yeah, we got to hire him." I was like, "Well, I don't know if we can afford him." He goes, "Doesn't matter. I'll pay for it. Like, we have to hire him." So he was like, in his mind, it was already a done deal,
Well, it certainly was a done deal in my mind too, because I had been around Vibrant long enough to know that the whiskey's coming in. I'd been around Vibrant long enough. I'd come over. In fact, the times that I would come over and talk to you guys about projects were kind of the times that I would look forward to the most, because it meant that I could escape the office and come over and play NBA Jam or just talk to you guys like real people. And that's Yeah, and hang out was something that I looked forward to, but it was more so like, these guys are my friends. They're real. They're smart. They're passionate. They're experts at their craft. They know what they're doing. People like them. And mostly because I've signed legal documents, I won't go much further than that. But suffice it to say, I wanted that in my working life. And so it made complete sense to reach out to you. And it's been great since. I mean, we've taken on just some amazing properties.
We've added up. We've had a bunch of, since we started having that intentional growth. We've really had a bunch of it, and I think platforms like this and growing with video, I think it creates an opportunity. There's so many people out there who need support and don't even, one, they may not know they need it, and two, they have no idea where to get it. They just think like, oh, I've been doing this for the last 5 or 10 years. It works just fine, but they have no idea the amount of money that they're leaving on the table. And we're not expensive either. I mean, we operate off of a percent of revenue, and so it's like there's never a time. And I tell clients a very small percent. I tell clients like there's never a time that you're going to sign with us and we're going to make you less than what we're charging you.
Correct.
Absolute worst case scenario, you're going to break even, but you're going to be able to have a better work-life balance. We have a whole team of people who's going to take care of things for you. But never once has it ever, or do I ever believe it will in the future, be a situation where you're not going to get a return on that small percentage that you're giving us. And then we've got some fixed flat fee stuff too that we do for marketing, and even that, I mean, we are, if you look at the industry,
are wild, and I can even speak to those too. I mean, we have one property, and I won't say the name just because I want to protect the client and their data. But then at the same time too, like it is so remarkable. They're getting a 15 time ROAS, which stands for return on ad spend. So for every $1 they're putting into ads, they're receiving $15 in exchange. Now, if that's a stock, like if that was trading on the S&P 500, you would dump your entire bank account into that thing. So these guys actually just upped their ad budget last month $1,000 because now they're putting more money into it, which ups their bidding, which means that they could be poking the 20 times ROAS, which is just typically like e-commerce ROAS is anywhere from 3 to 5. I mean, that is fantastic.
Yeah, what we try and commit to is like we're going to get you a 5 times return. So if you give us $1, we're going to get you back $5 in revenue. That's like the commitment that we make. But I think everyone right now is floating, north of 10. The property that we had to call with today, they were at 8 times, which is still really, really good.
But they're moving into their best season ever. I mean, and even like outside of their ROAS or their return on ad spend, they're making more just in their bookings. And that one is something you could speak to a lot more. But I mean, just even on like the sales and marketing side, like so much of it is just having good connections and having a good product too.
Oh yeah, and telling your digital story effectively, because the OTAs of the world, OTA is an online travel agency, so that's like your Expedias, your Booking.coms, your Orbits, and they've just got so much buying power and so much ability, and they're so large, and there's a certain amount of consumer confidence that comes along with those brands. You're fighting yourself for that business, and we've got a couple strategies to be able to utilize your digital platform in a way that allows you to capture more of that direct booking versus giving it to the OTAs. And OTAs are a necessary evil in our business. They're going to exist. You need them. You're appreciative of the revenue that they do give you because they've got reach that quite often properties that our sites that we work with just don't have. But there's so many strategies that if you look up your property, if you're a property owner, what I would suggest you do is go Google yourself, and I bet you there's a good chance that Expedia and Booking.com and TripAdvisor are buying Google ads with your name in it to outrank you, so that way they're getting the bookings.
So, their commission is so huge, it makes sense for them.
And running Google ads isn't expensive. And something that's unique about us is we don't take. So if you spend $1,000 on ads with us, all 1,000 goes to your ads. We're not actually taking a percentage of it. Oftentimes, a marketing agency will take about 20%. So if you're spending $1,000 on ads, 20% is going to the agency.
It's like a service cost.
Right.
It's like
we want your money to go to your business, and so we don't take any of that. But I challenge you to do that if you have a property. I think you'll find that they're doing it, and why wouldn't they? It's easy money.
But it can be scary for properties too. In fact, earlier today, in the same shirt, check us out on YouTube. Just search up Vibrant Management. I made a same video today talking about how OTAs are a necessary evil. In fact, it's like fishing. The more line in the water, the more fish you're going to catch, right? Sometimes those lines just come with a cost, right? And so when you have your OTAs like Booking.com or Expedia or whatever, right? When they look at your property, so let's just talk about Cougar Ridge. Let's say they find Cougar Ridge on Expedia. 9 times out of 10, they're going to go to cougarridge.com to validate what that experience is going to be.
To get more information.
Exactly, because Expedia is not going to show the Longhorn. It's not going to show the bowling alley. It's going to do a really poor job.
It's not going to tell your story.
Yep, it's not going to tell the story. It's not going to tell you everything that you can do in Capitol Reef. I mean, there is no guide to what this property is. And so not only are these OTAs, they can do you a favor, but they can redirect back to a website. And if you have an engaging website, especially backed by an engaging brand, you lose that OTA commission, and that's all money, and that's just a little extra gravy for you on the top.
That's why I think websites and brand especially are so important, because you're absolutely right that most people are going to check a couple platforms before they book to see what's the best option for them. And if you're telling a really good, effective story and you've got a compelling offer on your website for direct bookings, then you're going to earn that customer. And then Expedia becomes a funnel for you. In a funnel going into you versus a funnel going out of you.
Any OTA, when it's done right, should be a funnel, regardless if it's a VRBO, Airbnb, Expedia, whatever. It absolutely should be a funnel. At the top of that funnel, though, I strongly believe, and I think you would agree with me, that your brand has to be that. Because if your brand is shit and someone finds you on Expedia, they're going to miss that bottom of the funnel step. Which is going to your website.
Expedia brand's better than yours, and they're going to have more comfort there.
Exactly.
Brand is it's unbelievable how many people. In fact, there's properties that we've worked with in the past who didn't even have a logo, or it's just like they just pick and choose what colors they use or what fonts they use, and subconsciously you connect with the brand. So you always want it to be uniform in this. And we could probably do a whole episode on just brand alone.
Certainly.
Bring Jocelyn in and have her talk about it. But I think that ultimately today was just about telling our story, letting you know who Vibrant is. So if you haven't heard of us, you have an understanding of who we are and what we do. and then setting the tone for what you can come to expect. And I mean, really, we're just kind of going off the cuff here, but we already thought about doing a whole episode on virtual GM, doing a whole episode on the Cliffrose story, obviously an entire episode on virtual GM, an entire episode on brand. So
we'll have the CEO of Whistle on in a couple of weeks.
And I'll tell you guys about Whistle really quick. So if you stayed at like a Hilton, for example, you'll have the ability to text message the front desk, which is super convenient.
Awesome.
Way easier to just text message than to call, and you're always able to reach out and see if you can get upgrades or check if your room's ready. It's the most convenient thing. And so they use a platform called Kipsu, and it works really, really good at Hilton. We utilize it at the Cliffrose. I absolutely love it. We tried it with our independent properties, and it's all about what PMS you use. So we prefer WebRes Pro. That's our favorite PMS to use. And
the PMS is just the property management system.
Correct. Yep. And what's nice about WebRes Pro is it's cloud-based. You can access from anywhere, and they just have a ton of integrations. So all these other companies that offer, remote locks or cameras or all these different features that integrate with WebRes Pro, so you can operate it all from one place.
What's cool about WebRes too is if it doesn't integrate, they're going to make
They will, yeah. If they get enough requests, they'll do it, which is great.
Yeah.
And so we used Whistle, and at the time, Whistle just didn't work with, maybe it was T-Mobile, I can't remember. There's a carrier it didn't work with, and Kipsu said that they integrate with WebRes Pro now. We're like, oh, great, we're going to go to Kipsu. This is going to be awesome. We can talk to all the carriers. Kipsu with Hilton is the greatest thing ever. Turns out the integration basically didn't exist, and so for our virtual GMs, it created more work. And the whole idea of a platform like a Whistle is to lower the amount of work that you have to do, right? Yeah. And so we ended up just paying to cancel and going back to Whistle because now they work on all the platforms. So we utilize Whistle at all of our properties with our virtual GM. And to give you an idea of what that does, it'll send out like a pre-arrival text that says, here's your room, here's your check-in code, here's your directions. Reach out if you have any questions. We can't wait for you to come see us. And then it also has AI built into it too. So let's say they arrive and the Wi-Fi codes are always available, but let's say that the consumer can't find it for whatever reason. So they message out and say, what's the Wi-Fi password? The AI in Whistle already knows it's a question that's going to be asked. So without the virtual GM or a real GM or a real front desk staff having to physically answer, Whistle's AI just takes care of it for you. So many of the questions are always asked consistently, and the AI just takes care of it.
What are the pool hours? What time is breakfast? Stuff like that.
And then mid stay, it'll give them a check-in. So often if you get a bad TripAdvisor review, had you just known about the issue, you would have solved it. But you just don't know because they don't ever tell you. So by checking in mid stay and saying, how's your stay? Is there anything we can do to make it, your experience a 5-star experience? They'll let you know, actually, I never had any towels in my room. Easy fix. Fix it. Get a 5-star TripAdvisor review. We didn't have towels. They got us towels. It was amazing. And then, of course, post stay, how was your stay? We hoped you loved it. Please leave us a review on TripAdvisor, which we could probably do an episode on TripAdvisor.
Sure.
And so it's just an amazing platform. So the CEO of Whistle is going to be on not next week, but the week after.
The week after that. Just pinning down the schedule right now.
Which is going to be awesome. And also, that's another platform out there that's pretty affordable. And when you look at what it costs versus the man hours it would take to do what Whistle does, it's an absolute no-brainer. There's so many things out there in this industry for us and for the people in it that you can take advantage of. And I think more often than not, the reason they don't is they just don't know. Even for us. I mean, we've been in the industry for 5 years now, and Breck's been in it for a decade. And Spencer and I just went to, what was that thing called in San Diego?
BITAC.
BITAC. And so we went as hoteliers.
To anyone in hospitality as well. I mean, just a quick plug for BITAC.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that conference was nothing short of amazing.
I loved it. It was incredible.
BITAC, it was amazing. We stayed. What was the name of the hotel? I don't
remember. It was like inland in San Diego. It was really cool.
It was this beautiful inland property in San Diego. It was a 4-star property, I believe. It was beautiful, right next to a golf course, and we had this whole experience where we got to meet with people that we can actually take to our properties. If you're a property owner, you should certainly be attending at least one BITAC.
The vendors, all the vendors were amazing, and granted, some of them offered services that maybe weren't relevant for us.
Right.
But I would say 80% of my meetings were all things where it was like, oh, this is amazing, or oh, we need this, or oh, I didn't know about that. And so we've already engaged now with quite a few of the vendors.
A number of them. I would also be willing to say that next year when we go to BITAC, I would bet that all of those vendors are relevant to us at that point as well.
Oh, yeah.
Too, just based off of the
You should at least go to one BITAC event every year.
Even if you own just a vacation rental that has 10 rooms or whatever, you should certainly be going to BITAC. I mean, there was one guy there who had technology that could tell. It was just something that plugged into the room.
If someone smoked.
Yeah. And it didn't like set off an alarm or anything.
Just let you know.
Yeah, but you can charge a smoking fee. I have proof. Here's the card.
Yep.
And it was like $1 a room a month or something stupid. I mean, it was ridiculous.
And then these amazing, I can't remember the name of the company, but they have these amazing RFID bracelets for your room keys.
Oh, I can't remember the name of them either, but
that was great.
We've already worked with them.
Yeah, we're getting signed up with them now for one of our properties. I mean, just so much value if you just get out and you engage with the tourism community is amazing. I mean, that's really what got me to fall in love with it, not having a background in tourism at all.
Right.
Is once you got into it, it was like, and obviously everyone loves to travel. I mean, that's when you vacation, you're traveling. Like that's what we seek in life.
Well, my background in hospitality is really limited, but just from the time that I've spent in hospitality and when I'm visiting these properties and meeting with owners, one thing that is a common theme is that their GMs are burnt out or that the front desk staff is exhausted. So tools like Whistle make it really easy.
Take off such a burden.
It takes off a ton of time. I mean, in an 8-hour shift, how much time, you know this better than I would, and this is a real question. In an 8-hour shift, if you're the front desk staff, let's say at the Cliffrose, how much of your time is consumed by answering the phone and answering questions about the pool towels, the Wi-Fi password?
Most of it.
The majority of it.
Yeah.
But their time should be spent doing what?
Being able to engage with the guests in a meaningful way. That's not answering what their Wi-Fi is.
Basically anything else.
Yeah, creating experiences that people remember.
Yeah. So when you're able to outsource that for under $200 or whatever the price is, it's not astronomical. I mean, that is such a giant time saver.
Yeah, the tools are amazing that are available, and I think that's part of what we want to share is that it doesn't even matter to us if you're doing business with us or without us. We just want everyone to, rising tides raise all ships, right? So we just want everyone to succeed because there's so much success in the world. Your success isn't going to take away from our success. And so like you mentioned, vacation rental properties, like I would join VRMA, which is Vacation Rental Management Association. They've got an event coming up in Vegas. We'll be there. We'd love to connect with you guys if you're there. That's an awesome event. Whatever state you live in, I would join your tourism industry association that's there. Get involved with your community, with your DMOs or your CVBs. And really, we should probably have some DMOs and CVBs on here too.
Great idea.
To talk about how they can work with them in a more effective manner. And I mean, they've got these huge budgets. Our DMO here, where we live.
Define what a DMO is, because I would be willing to bet that there's probably owners who have no idea what the hell that is. Yeah.
So like for us, we live in St. George, Utah. So our DMO, which is Destination Marketing Organization, is the Greater Zion Tourism Bureau. And so there's a tax called TRT, which is transient room tax. And that's on every hotel room that gets booked. And I think it's 55% of that TRT money has to go to marketing, 45% can go to like infrastructure. And so 55% is a lot of money. And for us,
a ton of money.
Where we're in a highly sought after market, they've got like a $16 million budget and they're spending their money marketing for us. If I was a property, I would certainly want that DMO to know that I exist.
Yeah, right.
And what matters to me. And if you're not getting the business that you want, and so often, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. If you're not letting them know, even your state tourism office, they may think that things are roses and you're sitting at 60% occupancy and you're down ADR year over year. And you're like, no, turn the funnel on. I need all the business I can get.
Yeah.
And we've even seen that in Utah, right? Where we ran this campaign, the Mighty Five campaign. It was the most, successful marketing campaign in like the history of marketing. And it was so successful that it was like, oh no. And they turned the faucet off. And so now I think there's this perception that, we're overcrowded and we're too busy, but that's just not the case, We've got all of our properties could use more business and we've got way more business to give. And so we need that faucet turned back on, but we've got to be engaging with the state and letting them know that that's the case. And those are the kind of things that we do for our clients, whether you are where we live or not. We've got a client up in Washington State. We've got a client in Canada. We've reached out to their DMOs and have engaged with them and made sure that we're represented on their websites and that we're part of their marketing. And so that's a huge part about it.
They get bookings from those too.
Of course, absolutely, because they've got the marketing power and they've got the domain existence, and they've most likely been around longer than your hotel has.
Above and beyond anything that we can do.
Absolutely.
Or that property
we don't have a $16 million budget. We can't compete with that. And so it's really important. And I think it's important too for the people listening, like you can reach out to us and have a conversation, and conversations are free. If you have a question or you don't know something, or reach out in the comments. email us, call us, whatever platform you're most comfortable with.
Right.
And if there's not a way for us to work directly together, we'll certainly get you pointed in the right direction or answer a question. It's not like, oh, if you want to have a consultation, it's X amount of dollars per hour. That's not how we operate. We'll determine through our conversation if we're a good fit or not. And if we are, then maybe we can work together. But if we don't, no harm, no foul. At the end of the day, we want to see people succeed, whether it's with us or without us.
Yeah, and I mean, even if not, you can at least come in and play a game of NBA Jam with us, right?
Only if you want to lose. and to that, we don't do contracts, which I think is really unique.
It's
for management
very
companies.
unique. Yep.
Most management companies want to sign at least a 3-year contract and commit you to this long period of time,
and it's always like a floor. It's either a percent of revenue or $10K a month, or I mean, it's something ridiculous. I won't say the name of the property because the ink hasn't even been inked yet, but it's happening soon, right? That property is basically said that's the only reason that they were willing to talk to us.
Because we didn't have a contract.
It's because there's no contract. But at the same time, I mean, people who either don't want to work with us, it's also a mutual feeling, right? But as far as I know, in the history of Vibrant, that's happened once or twice. I mean,
if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for us, right? We don't want to lock anyone into anything. And even if we believe we're giving you value, but you don't believe we are, then your perception is your reality. So if in your belief we're not providing value for you, there's no reason to force you to continue to work with us,
free,
right?
Yeah. Life's too short to feel like you're in hell.
And this is your business, it's your baby, it's your livelihood. So we don't ever want to be a deterrent to that. We just want to we want to be making your life easier. We want you to be able to enjoy your business more. So often when you own a business, it's hard to appreciate it or enjoy it because it's a place of stress. And we want to change that dynamic for you. You know, we've got a whole team of people doing what you very well may be doing by yourself. And there's no way that one person can outthink or outdo a group of 10 plus people, no matter how smart or how much time you have. A group is always better than one, right? And so that's really what we offer, is we're bringing an entire team of expertise and knowledge and passion, and all of us on the team are super passionate. We love our clients, and we want to do everything we can, and we really treat your business like it's our own.
Agreed. Yeah. Reach out to us anytime. My email is spencer@thevibrantteam.com, Cody@thevibrantteam.com. What do you guys want to hear about in an upcoming podcast? We want to make sure that your episodes or your questions are answered in these, or any issues that you have, or staffing challenges, or whatever. I mean, we've been through pretty much
we've been
everything.
through it all.
Been
through a pandemic. We've done the whole thing. You know, we got down, and so when COVID happened in 2020, all of our clients let us go, obviously, and we told them all we'd work for free. And I remember we got down to like $11.37 in our checking account before we signed this one contract. And we ended up doing a branding for a Hawaiian skincare line, which was really cool. Not in our niche, but again, branding transcends verticals, right? You don't have to be in hospitality for branding to work. And so we're able to take that industry knowledge that we had and experience and build, something I'm really, really proud of. That's really cool. But we've been at the brink of failure many times, as I'm sure people listening have felt the same way. And even at the Cliffrose, at a property that's been around for 30 years, you know, I missed a couple Christmas parties because I was in the office crunching finances to figure out how we're going to make payroll. I mean, that just is what our industry is, right? It's feast and famine, and so we're here to be an advisory to you and a sounding board, and we're looking forward to hearing from you and what you want to know, and put it in the comments. Reach out to Spencer or myself, and if there's a topic you want us to just sit and talk about for 30 minutes to an hour, we're happy to do it. Or if you even want to be a guest on it, and you've got industry knowledge that you think will benefit the industry, and you want to be a guest, then reach out and let us know, and we'll get you on and do it via Zoom, or you know, come hang out at our house and have some whiskey with us, you know. As long as it's after 5, you know, we're happy to do that. So I think that wraps up.
I think it does. 1. Cheers to the first episode.
Cheers.
You're out. I'm done.
I got a little bit. It'll melt the ice.
All right, here we go.
Well, hey, thank you guys for listening. Think Media, Grow with Video. We can't wait to be on a keynote or a panel, whatever.
We won't charge you for the first year, Sean.
Whatever you think
Heather,
is fitting.
I mean, whatever.
But props to you guys, because
we'll be there, though.
Truthfully, Growth Video is the reason that we're sitting here right now.
It was certainly a pivot point in Vibrant's history.
Without that motivation and direction and understanding of, like, you know, we had these guys who were spending $40,000 a month on content.
Yeah, right.
And so they've got all of the tools and the lights and the phones and the things and the cameras and the video recorders and all of that stuff. And they would say, like, sometimes my best performing stuff I just shot on my phone. Like,
yeah, right. Yeah.
And it's like, so honestly, the key is just to start. So the thing I want to end with is if you're at your house or your office or wherever it is that you're listening to this content in your car and you're thinking, man, I got something to offer, be it tourism or not, it doesn't matter. Just start, right? Just start doing it.
The big sign outside of growth video is just press record.
Yeah.
And our first just press records were not awesome.
And don't be afraid.
And in 5 years when we're doing this again, we'll probably look back on this and say we could have done something different.
I'm pretty confident Joe Rogan's going to ask to be a guest on our show soon.
Yeah, we will be asking, sure. All right, well, that'll do it for the first long-form version of Virtual GM. Let us know if you guys have anything you want us to talk about, discuss, or guests you want on, or if you want to be a guest. Reach out to me, Spencer at thevibrantteam.com, Cody at thevibrantteam.com. Looking forward to having you on the next episode.
Thank you so much.